What's up, everybody? Welcome back to First Fruits of Zion Reacts. Check out our website at FFOZ.org for Bible teaching from a Messianic Jewish perspective. And that's a good perspective. That's one that you want, is a biblical perspective, because all those Bible authors were Jews. They were all Jewish. So maybe even Luke was Jewish. Isaac Oliver thinks Luke was Jewish. Maybe he was. So, but for today we have a video. It's a short video from TikTok or something. I don't know. And we did one before about a Jewish Presbyterian, about how he was saying he is not a Messianic Jew. And I think this is a person who says that they are. So that'll be different. That'll be nice.
A lot of people are confused why I introduce myself as a Messianic Jew rather than a Christian. I just want to clear the air, first of all. Start by defining what a Christian is. A Christian is a follower of Christ. Therefore, I am a Christian technically, but I do not practice Christianity. I am a Jewish person, a Jewish believer, and nothing will take away my status as a Jew. You can be a Hindu
Correct.
Jew, you can be a Buddhist Jew, you can be a secular atheist
Not
Jew.
recommended,
Nothing
but
takes
you
away
can.
the Jewishness from a person, including following Christ. And in fact, it is probably the most Jewish thing that you can do, especially in comparison to being an atheist or a Buddhist. Christianity is an extension of Judaism. Jesus fulfilled the messianic prophecies of the Jews. Therefore, the Jews of that day that followed Jesus did not think that they were creating a new religion whatsoever. In fact, Jesus says that he did not come to create a new religion for the Jews. Judaism that I follow could be described as Two Testament Judaism.
So someone might say, well, Jesus didn't fulfill all the Messianic prophecies. And he didn't fulfill them all. He has to come back and fulfill the rest of them. He has to come back, regather the exiles, reestablish the monarchy, world peace, a few other details like that. But she's completely right in that following, if you're a Jewish person and you follow Jesus, like Rabbi Yeshua, this first century rabbi, he's just your rabbi. And so you're doing Judaism still, as being like a follower of a Jewish rabbi. That's, you're still in the realm of Judaism, or you can be. And a lot of people are choosing to do that. Of course, as a Messianic Jewish teaching organization, that is what we recommend for a Jewish person, is follow Rabbi Yeshua and also, live Jewishly, live a Jewish life.
Messianic Judaism, it is different from modern rabbinical Judaism. What it is biblical Judaism with the continuation and the fulfillment of Jesus as the Messiah. Something really important to note is that I do follow Mosaic law. However, I do not follow it for salvation. I fully understand and recognize that the law is not what saves me. Jesus' sacrifice is what saves me. Therefore, I'm not following the law for salvation. I'm following the law for tradition's sake. It brings God and Jesus to the center of my life every day.
Yeah, the second reason she gave is probably better than the first one, because just for tradition's sake, but she may not have meant that exactly that way. Yeah, I think what she just hit on there is something a lot of people miss about Torah and mitzvahs, like the commandments of the Old Testament. People think that they're these onerous, like terrible, like commandments, and it's just a slog every day doing nothing but commandments all the time. Whereas, that's not really like Yiddishkeit. Like that's not Judaism. The commandments it can be like, sometimes it's difficult or sometimes it's time consuming, but the reason for doing them, like she said, is not like for salvation. The reason for doing them is because of one's love for Hashem, one's love for God. Like she said, she's bringing God and Jesus into her life by doing the commandments, and that's true. The Talmud says this, but has this neat little passage about the Pharisees. I think it's in Tractate Sotah, where it says that there's like 7 different kinds of Pharisees. And the first 5 are like these gross cartoon characters that are just doing like bonkers stuff, like just like real hypocritical kind of stuff, really exaggerated kind of stuff. But then it says like there's also a Pharisee from fear and a Pharisee from love, like Pharisee out of love, like someone who's scrupulous about keeping the commandments, scrupulous about everything they do in their life because of their love for God. It also reminds me of what Paul Philip Levertov said. Paul Philip Levertov was an Anglican priest, but he was also a practicing Jew. And he sort of had a foot in both worlds there. Interesting guy. Helped translate the Sanchino Zohar. But he wrote was part of a larger work. We've published a translation of Love and the Messianic Age. Love in the Messianic Age. And he has this great discourse on love. And he talks about love and fear being like two wings that draw us closer to God. You can get that on our website, at our store. I recommend it to everyone. I remember reading it for the first time and just kind of crying. Because that's like the heart of Judaism. Like as far as I understand it, is that a traditional Jewish person keeps the commandments because they love God. Like the idea that is the most important commandment is not just like a New Testament thing. Twice a day, observant Jewish person will say the Shema, which is v'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, and you shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your me'odecha, with all of your me'od, with all of your strength or all of your resources. So this, it's a central like tenet of Jewish faith. That's the goal, and like that's what the mitzvos, the commandments are supposed to do. They're an expression of love for God. So I'm glad that she's touching on that. That the keeping the commandments is like, people think of it as like this weird fleshly legalistic thing. No, it's a spiritual thing. Like it's a connection. It's a concretization, like actualization of one's what one feels toward God, one's devotion to God, one's love for God. It comes out a real way when you obey, when you do the commandments, do the mitzvahs. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful.
All
thing.
It does is centers my life on following Christ and following God, and it brings me closer to Jesus. So no, Christians are not required to follow Mosaic law. For me, it is just for the sake of maintaining my identity as a Jew and really making the statement that Jews do not stop being Jews once they become Christians or followers of Christ.
Yeah, that's true. The Jews don't stop being Jews when they become followers of Jesus. So what we would say at First Fruits Design is that a Gentile Christian does not have to keep the Mosaic law. However, a Jewish follower of Jesus, we would say that it is an obligation. But someone who's doing it, someone who's doing the commandments, that's always good. We approve of that. Good for you, young lady.
Followers of Christ. One of the main and most important reasons that I reject this notion that I stop being a Jew or have to identify as someone who practices Christianity over Messianic Judaism is because if you genuinely want Jews to come to Jesus, the thing that is going to hurt your case most is telling a Jew that they have to stop being Jewish to follow Jesus. This notion that Jews stop being Jewish or stop following biblical Judaism once they accept Jesus as their savior is the exact reason that so many Jews refuse to even open a New Testament today. Jews are so hostile towards Messianic Jews and Christians because they think that they're trying to convert them and erase their Jewishness and take that away from them when it's just not true. I think that following Jesus is the most Jewish thing that I've ever done. And when you have Christians telling Jews that they have to convert or assimilate or stop being Jews, let go of the law, let go of their traditions, let go of their identity and culture, that is where you lose Jews. That is exactly where you prevent them from coming to Christ. So yeah.
And if you start out, looking like you are observant and like pretending to be observant and to try to lure Jewish people in, and then later you hit them with this, we are trying to get you to convert to a different religion. Like that's even worse probably. Like that's really offensive. So, we at First Fruits Design, we promote Torah observance for Jewish people, and really a traditional observance, like what people might call rabbinic or Orthodox mode of observance, of which there are several. There's different ways to do that. There's different traditions, but don't try to convert Jews away from Judaism. Let Jews be Jewish. Let Jews be Jewish. A Jewish person can follow Yeshua. There's been lots of examples, like all the apostles, but there's other ones, even rabbis who have decided Yeshua is the Messiah, but they kept on living Jewish lives, all the halacha, like none of that changed for them. They just kept on going with Judaism, like the first followers of Jesus would have, like Yechiel Tzvi Lichtenstein and Ignaz Lichtenstein and Daniel Zion. There's a whole bunch of these guys. You can find out more about them, I think, on our website. We got articles, we got books on these people. Avram Polyak, Pauline Rose, really interesting people.
I'm a Messianic Jew. I am a Christian by definition, but I am not going to let go of my Jewish identity to please anybody. If all Jews who came to Christ did that, they would essentially be smothering the chances of fellow Jews coming to Christ too. I'd like to note that if I thought coming to Jesus meant that I had to stop being a Jew or let go of anything Jewish, I would not believe in Jesus. I would have continued to refuse.
Yeah, and probably rightfully so. Like I want to, because, and this is because of the test of the false prophets that we find in Deuteronomy, because we've gone over this before on the channel. But God says to the Jewish people, "I'm going to send false prophets to test you, and some of them will even work miracles. But if they tell you to stop, stop keeping the Torah, or to go worship some other god or something like that." You don't have to listen to what that prophet says. Don't listen to what that prophet says, because the Lord your God is testing you to see if you will keep the commandments. So, yeah, she's right. She's right about just about everything here. And wow, finally a video that's like good news bears. A Messianic Jew standing up for herself and her faith. How wonderful. That's wonderful. Good job, miss. We're in your corner there. As far as wanting Jewish people to continue to be Jewish. Let Jews be Jews. Don't make them become Gentiles. That's what the people talk about. There's got to be one new man, and there's not Jews or Gentiles anymore. But then when you look at it, everyone's living like a Gentile. There's no more. All it does is erase Jewish identity, right? That's the only identity that gets erased in the one new man. The one new man looks like a Gentile, and it doesn't. People don't get that. People don't realize that. Gentiles don't realize that. Because they didn't have to give up their identity. Only Jews have to give that up, their identity. So yeah, good job. Be Messianic Jews. Be Messianic Jews. Don't lose your Jewish identity. Don't assimilate. That's bad. The apostles would have been horrified. The apostles would have been horrified, absolutely horrified at what has happened to Jewish people who have begun following Yeshua over the past, 1800 years or something like that. Like just what was done to, at least since Nicaea, to just cut everything Jewish out of the church, and to make Jewish people stop doing Jewish things, living Jewish lives, even things like the holidays and things like that. Like why, like no one else has to give up their, Independence Day or something like that, but Jews have to give up Passover. Like, give me a break, right? So yeah. Do the mitzvahs, keep the commandments, Jewish followers of Jesus, and retain your Jewish identity. We agree. Good job. Finally a happy video. Something good happened. Yeah, let's celebrate. All right, celebration over. Back to work.